My brothers and sisters, one of the greatest sources of stress in our lives is the illusion that we are in control. We plan, we calculate, we overthink, we cry, and when things fall apart, we panic. But Allah reminds us in the Quran, and whoever puts their trust in Allah, He is sufficient for them. Do you know what that means? It means you don't need to see the road ahead to feel safe. You just need to know who is guiding you. There are people who lost what they loved and only later realized Allah saved them from something they could not see. Some of us cry over delays not knowing Allah is protecting us from disaster. Others chase people unaware that Allah is removing them for our own peace. When you trust Allah's control, you don't collapse when things don't go your way. You rise because you know His way is better. Sometimes a door closes not because you failed, but because Allah wants you somewhere else. Sometimes a heartbreak is not a punishment, it's a redirection. And sometimes the dua you cry for at tahajjud doesn't come now because Allah is preparing something far greater than what you are asking for. You see, there is no peace in trying to change what Allah has already written. There is peace in accepting it. When you say, Ya Allah, I don't understand, but I trust you, that's when your heart finally breathes. Look at the prophets. None of them had easy lives, yet they were the calmest hearts on earth. Why? Because their trust in Allah was greater than their fear of the future. Don't let your mind fight qadar. Don't let your heart argue with destiny. Your worry will not change anything, but your trust in Allah will change how you live through everything. The moment you stop trying to control outcomes and instead focus on effort, dua, and patience, that's the moment you taste peace. Allah is not asking you to understand every delay. He's asking you to trust every decision. Whatever is written for you will reach you, even if the world stands against it. And whatever is not written for you will slip away, even if you chase it with everything you have. So the next time your heart races with fear, remind it, my life is not in chaos. My life is in Allah's control. The next time you feel lost, say, the one who led me this far will not abandon me now. And the next time you feel broken, whisper, Allah is fixing something I cannot see. Peace is not found in a perfect life. It is found in a heart that trusts the one who controls all life. May Allah fill our hearts with tranquility through tawakkul and grant us peace in His decree. Imagine living every day with a storm inside your chest, worrying about money, people, the future, failure, heartbreak. You try to control everything, but life keeps proving that nothing is truly in our hands. Now pause. What if I told you that the peace you keep searching for isn't found in getting what you want, but in trusting the one who already controls everything? Too many people pray, but their hearts still panic. They recite verses yet sleep with fear. They say, Allah is the best planner, but deep down, they're terrified of His plan. This speech is for the heart that's tired, the mind that's overwhelmed, and the soul that's been restless for too long. If you've ever asked, when will I finally feel calm? Then listen till the end, because today you'll discover that peace doesn't come after your problems disappear. It begins when you trust the one managing your life. People spend their whole lives chasing peace through control. They believe that if they can manage every outcome, avoid every loss, and predict every turn, they will finally be calm. But the reality is the opposite. The more a person tries to control everything, the more anxious and exhausted they become. True inner peace does not come from gripping life tightly. It comes from opening the hands and heart to the decree of Allah. When a believer understands that nothing happens without the permission of the one who created them, the burden they carry immediately becomes lighter. Every sleepless night, every overthought situation, every fear of the unknown is tied to the assumption that we are responsible for writing our own destiny. But we are not the writers, we are the travelers, and Allah is the one who maps the journey. Surrendering to Allah's decree is not about giving up effort. It is about giving up the illusion of control. People often mistake tawakkul for passiveness, but real surrender means working with your hands and trusting with your heart. You strive, you plan within what is halal, you ask Allah for the best outcome, and then you release the worry of what if. The heart that believes only results come from Allah is the heart that stops panicking when things go against its expectations. That surrender is not weakness. It is strength rooted in faith. Control is heavy. Trust is light. Look at the lives of those who try to control everything. They plan every detail, they stress over every step, and they panic when something unexpected happens. Their minds are always tired. They carry an invisible weight of fear, desperately trying to hold the future in their hands. But the future was never theirs to hold. On the other hand, those who surrender to Allah's decree still plan, still make effort, still have dreams, but they do not crumble when things change. Because their faith cushions every fall. They have accepted that what was written for them is better than what they imagined for themselves, even if they cannot see the wisdom yet. When a person surrenders to Allah, they are no longer haunted by the fear of losing, because they know that loss in this world is not loss in the sight of Allah. They are no longer obsessed with controlling people, outcomes, or opportunities, because they realize that heart's chances and timing are already managed by the one who never makes mistakes. Surrender shifts the focus from, why is this happening to me, to what is Allah teaching me through this? It turns pain into purification and delay into preparation. The one who trusts does not drown in confusion. They swim through it with belief that the shore is near, even if the waves hide it. This surrender brings a silence to the noise inside the heart. Fear is loud, overthinking is loud, but tawakkul lowers that volume until peace takes over. When you tell yourself, I don't need to have all the answers because Allah already has them, your breathing changes, your heartbeat slows, and your soul settles. People spend fortunes traveling the world for peace, but the road to peace is internal and begins with submission. You cannot control your past, so there is no peace in regret. You cannot fully control the future, so there is no peace in fear. You only control your response, and peace lives in responding with surrender. Think about the times you were most worried. Was it not when you believed everything depended on you? And think about the moments where you felt calm. Those were the times you let go, even briefly, and trusted things would unfold the way they were meant to. Letting go is not abandoning responsibility. It is abandoning the lie that you are the master of your destiny. You do what is right and Allah takes care of the rest. The one who surrenders does not stop trying. They stop panicking, even in hardship. Surrender changes how pain is felt. A person who tries to control life sees difficulty as an attack. A person who surrenders sees difficulty as part of a plan. When something is taken from them, they remind themselves that Allah does not subtract except to add better later. When something arrives late, they tell their heart that Allah is never late, only precise. That certainty is what produces calmness. Life will never move according to our script because we did not write it. Surrender means accepting that the author of the script knows every hidden scene and every final moment. When you accept that reality, your heart loosens the knots of stress. You stop chasing what was never yours and stop fearing what was always written. You stop fighting destiny and start walking with it. That is where peace begins, not in controlling every chapter, but in trusting the one who already wrote the ending. Fear, stress, and anxiety often do not come from what is happening, but from the belief that we must manage everything ourselves. The human heart was not created to carry the weight of the unseen or the future, yet people load themselves with worries about what will happen, what might go wrong, and how they can control every outcome. When someone tries to handle what belongs only to Allah, such as provision, protection, destiny and timing, they begin to live in a constant state of panic. They lose sleep over matters already written. They struggle to change what has already been decreed. They fear losing what was never meant to stay. This internal war between effort and control is what drains the soul. Stress arises when a person forgets that Allah is Ar-Razzaq, the provider. They believe their income depends solely on their hustle, not realizing that provision is written before they are even born. They run after people, chase opportunities, and panic when something slips away because they think it was their responsibility to keep it. Anxiety grows when someone forgets that hearts are in Allah's hands. They try to control relationships, force love, manipulate outcomes, and then feel crushed when things don't work. The truth is, peace comes when you accept that you are responsible for action, not result. The results belong to Allah. Every time a person tries to control what they cannot, their heart tightens. They stress about the future because they think their planning alone decides it. They stress over people's opinions, believing their honor is in people's hands. They stress about marriage, children, success, health and safety because deep down they feel alone in the process. Once the heart is convinced it must carry its life by itself, anxiety becomes its companion. But once the heart realizes it is carried by Allah, calmness takes over. Think of someone walking through a dark forest alone. They move with fear in every step. But if they know someone powerful is walking ahead of them, they keep walking without hesitation. That is the difference between a heart that trusts Allah and a heart that depends on itself. Life becomes terrifying when you assume you are the one in control. But when you know Allah is in control, every path becomes easier, even if it is dark. People often think that worrying more will protect them from disaster. But worry does not prevent what is written, and it does not bring what is not written. Anxiety only steals the peace of today without changing the decree of tomorrow. The Prophet said that if the whole world gathered to harm you, they could not harm you except with what Allah has already written. So why live in fear of people and situations that cannot touch you without His permission? Trying to control what only Allah controls makes worship heavy and life heavier. You pray but still panic because your trust is in your plan, not your Lord. You make do but still cry in fear because you believe outcomes are in your hands. But when you surrender your worries to Allah, your worship becomes lighter and your soul becomes free. You can plan your day and leave the results to Him. You can work for your goals and know that if something is meant for you, it will not miss you. And if it is not, it will not reach you no matter how hard you try. Stress also comes from comparison. You see others achieving things you desire and panic because you think you are being left behind. But if you remembered that every soul has its own divine timeline, you would never rush or fear delay. Anxiety would fade the moment you accept that what is written for you has a time and a season known only to Allah. No one can take your share and you cannot take theirs. Deep trust in Allah turns storms into lessons. Instead of fearing the test, you believe the one who sent it will guide you through it. Instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? You start saying, Allah chose this moment for a reason. That mindset alone weakens anxiety. Because panic is born from resistance, while peace is born from acceptance. Every time you try to control life, life reminds you that control isn't yours. But every time you hand control back to Allah, your heart breathes again. Anxiety fades when the soul stops arguing with destiny. Stress melts when the mind stops replaying what it cannot change. Fear disappears when the heart believes that Allah never abandons those who rely on Him. The soul was not created to carry tomorrow. It was created to worship today and trust tomorrow to the one who owns it. When you let Allah be the controller, your heart finally finds rest. Trusting Allah is not just a belief in the heart. It is a transformation in how you experience difficulty, delay, loss, and uncertainty. Hardship is not what breaks a person. Resisting Allah's wisdom does. When a person has tawakkul, their perspective on trials changes. What used to feel like punishment begins to feel like preparation. What used to trigger panic begins to build patience. What once shattered them now shapes them. Trust turns every hardship into a tool that strengthens the soul rather than weakens it. When trouble comes, most people ask, why me? They think hardship is a sign of Allah's anger. But those who trust understand that sometimes hardship is a sign of Allah's love. He removes something to purify, delays something to protect, and withholds something to elevate. Trust allows you to keep walking even when the road is unclear. Because you know the one guiding you sees what you cannot. Without tawakkul, you see stress. With tawakkul, you see strategy. The person who trusts Allah during hardship lives differently. They still feel pain, but their pain does not destroy them. They still cry, but their tears do not drown them. Their heart might shake, but it does not collapse. They know that every test is perfectly measured and every trial carries a hidden gift. A believer who trusts Allah learns how to bend without breaking, how to wait without despairing, and how to lose without forgetting that what was taken can be replaced by something better. Look at Prophet Yusuf's ace. He was betrayed, separated from family, thrown into a well, sold as a slave, imprisoned for a crime he did not commit. From the outside, his life looked filled with misfortune. But for someone who trusts Allah, misfortune is only a disguise. Every step of hardship was leading him toward honor, power, and reunion. Without tawakkul, he could have drowned in sadness. With tawakkul, he rose above every moment that was meant to break him. Hardship did not destroy him, it delivered him. The same happens in our lives. Many people think a delay is a setback, but Allah may be using that delay to align something greater. You might want a job now, but Allah knows that accepting that job today would limit your future. You might want a marriage now, but Allah knows that the person you are meant for is still being prepared. You might want success instantly, but Allah is shaping your character before blessing you so that when success arrives, it does not destroy your soul. Without trust, you fight the process. With trust, you grow through it. Tawakkul does not remove the hardship, but it removes the panic inside the hardship. You still go through the fire of life, but trust becomes the coolness that protects your heart from burning. Think of Ibrahim when he was thrown into the fire. He did not escape the fire. He entered it with trust, and Allah changed the nature of the flame. The same way, when a believer trusts during difficulty, Allah changes how the difficulty feels within them. The outside may remain hard, but the inside becomes calm. When someone lacks trust, they collapse with every disappointment. They lose hope when things don't go as planned. They feel abandoned when a door shuts. But the one who trusts Allah does not see a closed door as rejection. They see it as redirection. They remind themselves that Allah does not block you from something unless He is guiding you to something better or protecting you from a hidden harm. Trust also removes bitterness from the heart. Hardship without tawakkul leads to resentment. Why is this happening to me? Why is Allah not answering? Why do others have it easier? These questions break the spirit. But hardship with tawakkul replaces those questions with ones that heal. What is Allah teaching me? What is He saving me from? What is He preparing me for? The same test can destroy one heart and elevate another. The difference is trust. Sometimes Allah breaks your plan to protect your faith. Sometimes He delays your dream to grow your doer. Sometimes He tests your patience to increase your rank. Every storm is purposeful, but only the one who trusts sees the wisdom. Life will not always make sense, but tawakkul is what keeps the soul steady when the mind is confused. It keeps your feet on the ground when everything else is shaking. When trials meet a trusting heart, they become ladders, not prisons. They raise you instead of trapping you. And every scar you earn becomes proof that Allah never left you in the fire alone. With every hardship, trust turns fear into strength, pain into purification, and uncertainty into a path back to Allah. One of the most painful feelings a person experiences is when their plans don't work out the way they imagine. They pray for something, work for it, dream about it, and when it doesn't happen, the heart begins to question, why was it delayed? Why was it denied? Why did someone else receive it while they were left waiting? These thoughts only grow heavier when a person forgets that Allah's wisdom is far beyond human understanding. Trusting divine wisdom means accepting that delays are not neglect and denials are not rejection. They are part of a plan far more precise than anything we could design for ourselves. Many people think unanswered prayers are a sign of Allah's displeasure, but often they are a sign of His protection. You may be asking for something that looks good from the outside, but only Allah knows what harm it carries inside. You may be begging for a person, a job, an opportunity, or a path, not realizing that receiving it now could damage your faith, your peace, or your future. When you trust that Allah sees the full picture while you only see a fragment, your heart stops arguing with His timing. Delays can feel like silence, but they are not empty. Sometimes Allah delays because what you are asking for is not ready. Sometimes Allah delays because you are not ready. A person might pray for marriage, but maybe the one written for them needs more time to grow. A person may seek success, but perhaps their character needs to be strengthened before the success arrives, so it does not corrupt them. When a believer understands that timing is part of divine mercy, they stop rushing destiny and start preparing themselves instead. Denials are also misunderstood. You may ask for something that never arrives. You may chase an opportunity that never becomes yours. But what you call denial may actually be redirection. Allah does not withhold anything unless He intends to replace it with something far better for your soul, your akhirah, or your journey. The believer who trusts Allah does not crumble when a door remains closed. They remind their heart that Allah does not close a door without purpose, and He does not open one without wisdom. When belief in divine wisdom settles into the heart, comparison begins to disappear. You stop looking at other people's blessings and wondering why yours are late. You no longer assume that someone else's ease means your struggle is unfair. You realize that everyone has a tailored journey and your timeline is designed by the one who knows you intimately, your fears, your hopes, your weaknesses, and your strength. What is delayed for you is not delayed in Allah's plan. It is arriving exactly when He decides it will benefit you the most. Another secret in trusting Allah's wisdom is understanding that sometimes unanswered prayers in this world are not lost. They are stored for you in the next life. The Prophet said that on the day of judgment, when a believer sees the reward for the du'as that were not answered in dunya, they will wish that none of their prayers were answered earlier. That alone should reshape how the heart views denial. What you think is being withheld may actually be being upgraded. There are people who receive what they want immediately and it destroys them. There are people who are denied what they asked for and are saved because of it. There are those whose plans crumble only for them to be guided to something that changes their life forever. If every dua was answered the moment we made it, we would never taste patience, we would never build resilience, and we would never learn to surrender. But through delay, Allah teaches you how to rely on Him instead of the result. Belief in divine wisdom also calms the pain of missed chances. Many hearts live with regret, thinking, if only I had this, or if only that had happened. But when you truly believe Allah is the best of planners, you stop living in the world of if. You stop torturing your heart with scenarios that were never written. You learn to say, what passed me by was never meant for me, and what reached me was always written. When your heart reaches that level of trust, peace begins to replace panic. You stop questioning every delay and start trusting that Allah is aligning the right people, the right time, and the right outcome. You stop fearing denial because you know that His no is better than your yes. You stop measuring life by speed and start measuring it by sincerity and surrender. The truth is, nothing slips away from you except what was not written. Nothing stays away from you except what is meant to come at a better time. Nothing reaches you late. Nothing reaches you early. Every delay carries wisdom and every denial carries protection. Divine timing is not slow, it is perfect. Divine decisions are not harsh, they are precise. And the one who believes in this walks through life with a heart that may not always understand, but always trusts. One of the heaviest weights on the heart is overthinking. A person can exhaust themselves not by what they face, but by how much they replay it in their mind. They imagine every outcome, analyze every possibility, and stress over every detail. They think if they plan hard enough or worry long enough, they can prevent pain or force success. But peace is not born from overthinking. Peace enters the heart when you let go of constant mental struggle and hold on to dua. Dua transfers the burden from your mind to the one who has power over all things. Overthinking keeps you trapped in circles. Dua moves you forward with trust. The problem with overthinking is that it convinces you that control lies in your thoughts. You begin to assume that if you don't worry, something will go wrong. You link stress to responsibility, when in reality, responsibility lies in action, not anxiety. Allah never asked you to carry what He already controls. You are not asked to know how everything will work out. You are only asked to turn to Him, try your best, and let His wisdom handle the unseen. When a person stops overthinking and starts making sincere dua, their mind stops fighting battles it was never meant to fight. Holding on to dua means that when confusion comes, instead of spiraling in fear, you speak to Allah. When a problem appears, instead of panicking and imagining the worst, you raise your hands and say, "Why Allah? I leave this to you." Your heart begins to calm not because the problem vanished, but because you placed it where it belongs. Allah says, "Call upon me, I will respond to you." If the Creator Himself has promised to handle your concerns, why let your thoughts drown you? Overthinking often comes from believing you must solve everything yourself. You replay conversations, worry about people's opinions, and predict outcomes that may never exist. You think about what could go wrong more than you think about what Allah can make right. But when dua becomes your habit, your mind does not wander into disaster. Instead, your heart remembers that Allah can change any situation in a moment. What a person fails to plan, Allah can still perfect. There are moments when you do not know what decision to make and your mind becomes tangled in doubts. But dua is not just for asking, it is for seeking guidance. When you say, Allah, if this is good for me, make it easy. If not, turn it away. You release the pressure of choosing alone. You are no longer afraid of making the wrong move because you have invited the one who knows all outcomes to guide your steps. Overthinking demands certainty before moving. Dua gives certainty even when you do not see the path. Peace comes when you remember that Allah listens even to the dua you do not know how to put into words. Sometimes the heart is tired, thoughts are messy, and emotions are overwhelming. You may not have the right sentences, but Allah understands the whispers of your soul. Overthinking tells you to keep everything inside and suffer silently. Dua tells you to empty your heart in front of the one who already knows its pain and can heal it. Those who hold on to dua do not live in constant regret or fear. They do not replay their mistakes endlessly. They ask Allah for forgiveness and trust that He has the power to rewrite their future better than their past. Overthinking makes you feel stuck in what went wrong. Dua reminds you that Allah can bring good out of what broke you. Overthinking traps you in what if. Dua brings you into with Allah. Anything is possible. A silent dua in sujood can bring more peace than hours of thinking. A single tear dropped while asking Allah can remove what overthinking could not fix for years. When you say, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil, Allah is sufficient for us and He is the best disposer of affairs, you are declaring that your mind does not need to carry everything. You are handing the matter to the one who never sleeps, never forgets, and never fails. You may not know how something will work out, but you don't have to. Your job is to turn your stress into supplication. Your job is to do what you can and let Allah do what you cannot. Overthinking drains you because it tries to predict what only Allah knows. Dua sustains you because it connects you with the one who can change what you fear. In moments of uncertainty, some people lean on people, money, or plans. But those who trust Allah lean on dua because they know that everything in the heavens and the earth responds to His command. Overthinking may keep your eyes open at night. Dua lets you sleep with a heart at peace, knowing the one in control does not rest. Letting go of overthinking does not mean being careless. It means being conscious of Allah's power. It means doing your part and trusting that what you cannot control is already written with wisdom. When dua becomes your response to fear, peace finds its way into your chest. You stop begging your mind for answers and start asking the one who created your mind. And when that happens, the heart begins to breathe again. True peace begins the moment you accept that what is written for you will always reach you, and what is not meant for you will never stay, no matter how hard you chase it. Much of human pain comes from the belief that outcomes can be controlled by force, fear, or desperation. People spend years chasing what was never theirs and grieving what was never meant to remain in their lives. But when the heart understands the certainty of Allah's decree, it stops running after what He has not written and starts resting in what He has guaranteed. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they can secure something by mere effort, even if it is not part of their destiny. They pour energy, emotion, and time into situations that Allah has already closed. They cling to relationships that are no longer good for them, opportunities that have expired, and dreams that are harmful in ways they cannot see. When such things slip away, they feel broken and abandoned. But if they trusted the wisdom behind fate, they would realize that Allah does not remove anything meant to be permanent, nor does He delay anything that is destined to arrive. Knowing that what is written will never miss you brings a deep calmness to the soul. You no longer panic when something does not happen on your timeline. You no longer feel inferior when someone else receives a blessing before you. You do not look at others and assume you have been left behind. You rest in the belief that your share has already been assigned by the one who knows your needs better than you do. You stop questioning why and begin trusting when. The heart finds relief when it stops imagining that it controls destiny. You understand that your role is to strive, not to secure the outcome. You walk your path, make do, take action, and then say, if it is meant for me, Allah will open the way. If it is not, He will replace it with something better or protect me from something unseen. With this mindset, even rejection becomes mercy. Even delay becomes preparation. Even loss becomes redirection. What brings sadness is not qadr itself, but resisting it. When something leaves your life and you fight its departure, your pain doubles. But when you remind yourself that Allah never takes except with wisdom, your heart begins to heal faster. You understand that what is gone was not your loss, it was your protection. And what has not arrived yet is not a delay, it is divine timing. Think about how many times in life you chased something, believing it was best for you. You cried for it, hoped for it, planned around it, only to realize later that its absence became one of your greatest blessings. There were people you thought you could not live without, and Allah removed them to reset your peace. There were jobs and goals you thought were your only chance, and Allah redirected you to something far more suitable. There were dreams you mourned losing, only to discover that Allah replaced them with something you never imagined but always needed. When you accept that what was written will come with ease and what was not written will leave despite your effort, you save yourself years of unnecessary pain. You also become more grateful. Instead of questioning every moment, you begin to see everything as intentional. The people who left were meant to leave. The doors that closed were meant to close. The tears you cried were meant to cleanse you. The setbacks you faced were meant to shape you. Certainty in Qaeda also removes jealousy from the heart. You stop envying what others have because you know that no one can take what was meant for you, and you cannot take what was meant for them. You start making dua for their blessings and trusting that yours are on the way. You stop comparing your pace with others because you understand that Allah writes unique journeys for every soul. When trust in Allah's decree becomes firm, even the unknown does not scare you. You no longer wonder, what if everything goes wrong? You instead tell your heart, what is meant for me will find me, and what is not meant will move away from me. And in both there is goodness. You begin to walk through life more lightly because you are no longer dragging fear, regret, and desperation behind you. Letting go does not mean abandoning effort. It means abandoning the illusion that effort alone decides the outcome. It means understanding that the heart is safest when it is attached to Allah, not to results. It means believing that if something was written for you, it will arrive even through closed doors, and if it was not written, it will leave even if you hold it tightly. When the soul reaches that state, peace is no longer temporary, it becomes a constant companion. You breathe easier, you sleep deeper, you live fully, you stop chasing and start trusting. And that trust is not weakness, it is strength built on certainty that your destiny is written by the one who loves you more than you love yourself.